this week we're going to be focusing some more on Dorothy Fields and how Annie Get Your Gun came to be. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Wild Women of Song. My name is Pamela Rose. I want to talk about Dorothy Fields and how the writing of Annie Get Your Gun progressed. Annie Get Your Gun, which is really one of the most popular musicals ever to be mounted on Broadway. So in 1938, Dorothy Fields had been in Hollywood for a while because the Depression had pretty much gutted Broadway. It was very hard to get shows mounted. Dorothy was one of many songwriters who moved to Hollywood, wrote for the pictures. But she really wanted to come back to New York. When she came back, she was writing with composer Stephen Schwartz. They were working on a vehicle called Stars in Your Eyes featuring Ethel Merman. And Dorothy came up with this great song, big character song that was a showstopper for Ethel Merman called A Lady Needs a Change. This cemented a very deep relationship that was to go on between Ethel Merman and Dorothy for a long, long time. And she continued to write, along with her brother Herb, for quite a few other vehicles for Ethel Merman. So at this point in her career also, Dorothy was becoming really fascinated with the libretto, the story of the musical, and she began to love this style of writing and vowed that when she started writing music again, she would make sure that she got to write songs that served not as to be popular songs, but to really further the story. And she hit on the greatest idea, which was to come up with a story of Annie Oakley, featuring Ethel Merman. She says she raced to a phone and called Ethel. Ethel was on her bed in a hospital room, having recovered from a C-section that just happened a day or so earlier. Dorothy tells her the story, and Ethel says, "Absolutely, let's do it." And you Ethel Merman fans will forgive me for that terrible imitation, but she was really thrilled with the idea. So Dorothy and Herb approached Oscar Hammerstein and Richard Rodgers, who were at the time also producing shows, and they loved the idea. They all agreed the perfect person to ask to write the music was Jerome Kern. When Hammerstein, Dorothy Fields approached him, they said, "Come on out to New York and we'll do a revival of Showboat if you write this musical." And he also loved the idea, I think, of writing the musical and working with Dorothy. So he came out to New York. And it could not have been better. Everything was very sweet. Dorothy had already mapped out exactly where the song should go and what the titles should be. Jerome Kern left his hotel after having a nice breakfast, had a stroke, massive stroke, and never recovered and died a few days later. Well, as you can imagine, Dorothy Fields was devastated at the loss of her dear friend and her mentor and her favorite collaborator, Jerome Kern. But the show must go on. You really had to consider this question of who was going to do the music very seriously. The name Irving Berlin came up. But nobody believed that Irving would want to do it because he liked to produce his own shows, and of course, he wrote his own lyrics. But they all decided it was worth a try anyway, so they contacted Mr. Berlin. And he was also very devastated at the loss of Jerome Kern. I mean, this was a big loss. He knew what situation they were in. He said, "Well, let me take a look at the book, the libretto that had been written. Let me go away for a couple days and think about it. And if I can write a couple of songs and we all like them, then let's do it." He came back with 3 songs, all of which had been suggested by Dorothy's titles: Doing What Comes Naturally, You Can't Keep a Man with a Gun, and There's No Business Like Show Business. He came back with these songs. They were fantastic. And Dorothy very graciously stepped aside as lyricist, which must have been a very difficult thing for her to do, but she so believed in the project and wanted it to happen. And Irving Berlin, much to his credit, although he usually drove an incredibly hard bargain and always got 2/3 of the songwriting credit, agreed to split it with Dorothy and Herb Fields, a concession that really must have spoken to how much respect he had for Dorothy Fields and how much he appreciated that the songs had been already mapped out and these titles suggested, all of which he used. So, of course, what more can I do than urge you to get a copy of the entire show, Annie Get Your Gun? You want to pick out some extraordinary songs. There's No Business Like Show Business, of course, is a classic of all time. Doing What Comes Naturally, I think, has such a fantastic lyric and was so perfect for the character. It really shows what Dorothy liked most about how a song can fit a character in the context of a show. Hey guys, if you're liking hearing about these women and the extraordinary contributions they made to our songbook, please make sure to subscribe. Every week, just tune in to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wildwomenofsong. Tell your friends.